Hello, everybody, or should I say, ho, 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 everybody. Yes, a very Merry Christmas to everybody who's joining us on the call here today or on the replay. However, there is no way that I can possibly do this call with this hat on, so unfortunately, that's going to have to come off. But do let me know that you're coming in loud and clear, guys, inside the chat box. Hey, Gatry, how's it going? I hope you are well. I hope everybody is well that is joining us. I know over this period of time, there's always like a little bit of a lull. And if you're anything like me, you like to get back at it, so to speak, dust off the keyboards and the mice and the trackpads and all of that stuff, and get back into action. And sometimes it can be a little bit, sort of whenever you've taken a little bit of time off. Sometimes it can be a little bit hard to get the gears going back in, to get rocking and rolling again. But as always, whenever we have some of the more kind of down days, in terms of maybe not being fully back at your 9 to 5 or fully being back at whatever it is that you guys are doing, we can take a little bit more time to get some of the sort of niggly jobs done, and that can kind of start to get the gears going back again before we have to hit it full pace. I think too with the likes of a Christmas break, on the likes of Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, then coming back at it for a few days, getting warmed back up again, and then we get the New Year's Eve, New Year's Day holiday again. And with this year it happening on a weekend, sometimes it can be quite good that you get another little break and then you gotta get going again. But as Patrick says there, it's hard to get momentum going after the holidays, but it's good to get it going a little bit now, then a little bit of break again. Seems like a double holiday, and who doesn't love double holidays? So, guys, today I want to really concentrate on the stock assets file. Right, that's really what we're coming back in to do just on this lull week, if you want to call it that. We have not had our normal stream schedule this week for obvious reasons, but I did want to come back in, put this one thing on everybody's radar, because stock assets, it's something that we do at the start of the month, and we're recording for the month just gone by. So, in other words, we're going to be recording what we have in stock, as in you're going to be recording what you have in stock uh, for December, and you're going to be doing that early January, right? So I say early January. Normally, you want to get it in around the first or second of the month. If those days land on a Sunday, and maybe that's the day you go out and watch your kids' football practice or something, the second is absolutely fine. But do try and get it as close as you possibly can to the start of the month. Don't be doing it on the 10th of the month or the 15th of the month. Try and get it towards first, second, third, something like that. And what you get out of this will actually make you come back to doing it more and more and more, right? It will start to be something that's on your calendar and you'll look forward to, because it's not a massive task, but the information that you get out the other side can be huge. All right, it can be absolutely huge. So, I'm going to be doing a little bit of sharing up of the screen, and really, it's just about making sure that you're following along with your templates and everything else. Now, we have been hard at work getting two files into your files and folders. Okay. Now, if you have done what we asked of you, then your files are going to be inside your folders. Okay. So if you've got all your intake forms done, you've been doing these different things like PCS, whatever, your files are going to be there. Okay. So for anybody here listening live, have you gone and checked to see whether your files are there? Right. So if your files are there, give me an S for stock inside the chat box. Right. If you haven't checked, then go to your Google Drive, right, and type in stock assets in a search box, right? And you should then see a stock assets file, right? So if the stock assets file is there, then the Pulse report is there, okay? So Mike says S, Joanne says S, Gately says S, Patrick says S. Great stuff. There's a few other people that are on the call. Maybe they're driving, maybe they're dressing up as Santa Claus for the local party or something like that. Who knows, right? Jesse says yes, Carson says yes. Ace, right? Ace, guys. Now, the other thing that you're going to need to have done is PCS, right? There's a few people that I know out there are seemingly, I don't know what the hold up is, what the delay is. We've got to make sure that we've got PCS. And Joanne actually brings up a very interesting point. So Joanne says earlier, my first product is on the stock asset file, but the second product, which is due any day, which looks like unhappy face emoji. Joanne says, sorry, my second product was due on the 12th of the 15th. American dates. Come on, guys, let's get global. 15th of December. And Joanne says, oh, maybe I don't have a PCS. Absolutely, right? That was a great point to bring up, Joanne. I really appreciate it. When you have placed an order for a new product, okay, the minute that you place a new order, get that product onto PCS, right? So if you're going to add a product into your portfolio, into your business, add it to PCS. And two main reasons there. The first reason is it's good to do it early, right? Because if you're putting it in there, you know your trade price that you're getting for private label people. You know the dimensions, you know the weights, right? You've got your SKU, you know a hell of a lot about this product already, okay? And the bigger point is whenever you place an order, it becomes an asset, right? It becomes an asset inside your business, okay? Just don't see it as money leaving your bank account. No, it's just transferring, right? It is just transferring from what was cash inside your bank account now over to another area of your business, which is an asset, okay? And the asset has two different ways that we want to account for. The most simplest way is the products that you've ordered, that order is now an asset at exactly the same value that you've just changed from cash asset into stock asset, which in other words, landed cost, okay? So the landed cost price of your product or landed cost value of your item has now just changed from being a dollar amount in your bank account to now being a dollar amount in your assets, okay? But us as private label sellers, we have another way that we can judge that asset, and that is at its RVF, as we talk about, or its sale value. What's it worth to you in the future whenever it sells, right? And the more and more that you see this, the more and more it's really going to turn on a hell of a lot of lights for you, right? Because as we go forward and as you start to get products that you have got, let's call it dependable sales rates or run rates, right? When we start to get into that scenario, you're going to start to want to add more and more stock in because it's dependable. You want to make sure that you're taking advantage of that. And whenever you start to see that asset as an actual asset in the future, then you're going to look and say, well, why would I have this cash on my balance sheet whenever I could actually have it in assets, in stock assets, okay? And this is part of this process. It's early to look at it. So as Joanne was saying, make sure that it's on your PCS report, okay? Your PCS file. So that is great. I also know that everybody has these files because I was part of doing them, right? And I was looking down through the sheet, and a big hats off to Esso, who worked diligently over the Christmas break for every single body in here, right? Whether or not people use what we are providing as resource or not, we provided it, right? He worked diligently. He said, thank you so much, Stephen. And if anybody wants to say inside the chat box that they appreciate Stephen doing that on his time off over Christmas, that would be ace. So thank you very much, Stephen. Now, what I want to do is I want to share up my screen. Let me go to a window. Let me open this up. And there we go. Okay, so this is what the stock asset file looks like after you've put in your details, right? Now, before this gets put in, let me just go across here and I will show you what it looks like if I freeze. I'll scroll down. Okay, so when you get it, that's what it looks like, okay? Completely blank, right? Completely blank, but lots of drop-down menus, right? This is why it's so easy to do, because it's all drop-down menus. Now, the other great thing here, which you're starting to see, is when we have the information inside PCS, it is one area. Remember, all of you guys have been through all reporting. One of the little areas that it just kind of went by the wayside is that whenever we have something inside an engine file, something like a SKU, right, and we're using drop-down menus, there's no more spelling mistakes. There's no more typos. There's no more using a dash instead of an underscore. There's no more adding in another letter or something like that by mistake, right? So now our data is becoming a hell of a lot more consistent and coherent, right? Over and over and over again. So it is reducing the error margin that unfortunately users make, right? It's called user error for a reason. Users make errors, okay? So whenever we reduce all of this, not only do we get more comprehensive data, but we get more cohesive and coherent, all right? And inside this area, now if I click on this report, it's going to show the SKUs from the PCS that's attached to this. So whenever you click in, it's going to show you your PCS, right? So in the instance that somebody was talking about, my second product that I've ordered is not on the PCS, it gives you that little light bulb moment to go and put it on the PCS, right? If it's not on the PCS, it's not going to show up here, right? That's a good thing because it's also reminding us to make sure that we have our PCS filled out, right? So that's great. So we have SKU in here, the quantity, right? And the quantity related to the location, okay? So looking at locations, there are only 4, right? What we have is we've got in production. So if the product is currently in production, you're going to select the quantity that's in production. If it's at sea, you're going to select the quantity that's at sea. If it's at an Amazon fulfillment center, you're going to select the fulfillment center. And if it's in a secondary warehouse, then you're going to put it that it's in a warehouse. Okay? Nice and simple. Does everybody understand locations? Just give me a big Y inside the chat box if you understand locations. If you don't understand locations, give me the question or the thing that you do not understand, right? And then we can answer that question right here, right now. So Mike says yes. That's great, Mike. Thank you so much. Gatry says yes. Great. Patrick says yes. Joanne says, what if it's been stuck in customs for over a month? Well, we don't have a drop down for stuck in customs, but that would still be at sea. Okay, it would be at sea. So if it's anywhere in between, it would always be the latter, right? So therefore, if you've got stock that's moved from a warehouse and it's moving into the Amazon fulfillment center, I would still put it at the warehouse, right? So if it's in between, put it towards the one previous. Okay, that's great, but a good question because there are little areas that we would say, and we could report to the granular level, which would not help us because you'd be constantly changing it. Right? So that is the location. Now, country, again, really, really simple. And If it's in a fulfillment center or if it's in a warehouse, the country's really easy, right? Because that is the country that that location is in, right? But if it's in production or at sea, you might go, well, then my country is, if it's in production, my country must be China. Or if it's at sea, what would my country be? Where is the nearest port that it's, is it coming around the coast of India? Is it India then? And no, it's neither of those two things. The country is, where is the stock destined for? Okay. So in a second, I'll show you our example. In fact, I'll scroll it up so you can see our example. There is a product here that is in production. Okay, it's the same product, but 1,200 of it is going to the US, 300 of it is going to the UK. Okay, so it's where is the order destined for? Right, so this one order is not 1,500, right? Because they're all not going to the same place. They are getting produced at the same time, but they are different lines. Okay, so does that make sense? All right, just give me a yes if that makes sense. Give me the question if it doesn't make sense. So you may have, very likely, got a product that is in a fulfillment center. Well, it could be in an American fulfillment center. It could be in a British fulfillment center. Okay, it's not going to be one line on your stock asset. It's going to be two. Okay, if you've got a product in production and it's going to Britain, it's going to the States, it's going to Canada, that's going to be three lines on your stock asset report. Okay, and there is a very, very good reason for that, and that is because it may be worth more or less in that country. There is no way in God's green earth, right, that it's going to be worth exactly the same amount of money after you sell it in Canada as it would be in Great Britain or the United Kingdom, right? And if it was, that would just be a fluke, right? A fluke of nature. Because, you know, you're going to be taking sweet spots and price points, okay? You're going to have some different duty rates, right? You may have some different price point rates. You may have some different RVFs, right? You've got currency conversions. So it's highly unlikely, okay? So that's country. Now the currency, right, is auto-calculated, okay? Just auto-calculates for you. So there's no questions there. The report month, right? Now look at this. I'm going to bring everybody's attention to it because I know I'm going to have to answer this a number of times, right? Please note, do not enter a month which has not currently ended, right? So therefore, you do not want to do this report today, okay? Because it's the 28th of December. And I already said you only do this report at the start of a month. Because if people do this report today, they're going to select inside report month December 2023. But it hasn't ended yet, okay? So just have a little bit of patience until December ends, and then you're reporting on December, okay? Let me know if you get any questions on that, but basically, you're reporting for December on the 1st of January, okay? So on the 1st of January, you will come in, you will do this report, and you will select December, okay? Sounds a bit wonky, but it's really not. It's really super logical, okay? Let me know inside the chat box if you get any questions on that, but if it's January, you're reporting on December. If it's February, you're reporting on January. And you do this each and every month, okay? And you do it for each and every location, for each and every SKU, in each and every country, okay? And the very final one that we have is, what is your ownership, okay? So if you have, let me see, if you've ordered like this did up here with private label people, they've paid a deposit, okay? They've paid a deposit, so they've paid 50%, like we normally do, of our products, and shipping and duties have been paid for, okay? So it's 50% deposit, shipping and duties. These ones are pretty easy. Like if it's in a warehouse or it's in an Amazon fulfillment, it means a highly likely 9 out of 10 times or 99 times out of 100, your ownership is going to be a full 100%, right? Because you've bought it, you've paid for it, you shipped it in, it's now ready for sale. So it's highly likely that you're going to have 100%, right? There are a couple of others. If you're using your own supplier, 30%, you might have to put that down. You may be using another freight forwarder or something like that. So we've got those options. But everything there, pretty straightforward. Okay. If you've got any questions on that, do just let me know. But it is relatively straightforward. And especially once you get to grips with it, it becomes easier and easier and easier. Okay. And anybody doing accountability, this is inside your accountability, is to learn this, right? So showing up here today will definitely be a big tick for you inside your accountability. And of course, next week, you're going to be doing, it's going to be inside to do this report at the right time. Now, going down through, right? And then obviously next week, this account is going to move into December, and you put it on down the list, right? You just go to the next one, you leave all this here, and you go down to the next one. Don't worry about what order this needs to be in, right? It's absolutely fine to have warehouse here, Amazon fulfillment here, UK here, US here, and even reports different months. Not that would happen. You're going to have all your months, but everything will be sorted out by the system, okay? So it doesn't matter in which way, shape, or form you put it, okay? But they're going to come back and they're going to start into the December reporting, and you go down, 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 down the whole way. So each and every month we're adding into this list, okay? Now, one thing that we can cover here as well is, I'm going to switch screens in a little second, but is where do we get the information from, okay? Where do we get the information from? Well, obviously, there's a couple of different areas because of different things. Mike says, if you order a product from PCS and have 50% paid, if I'm at the sample stage, then it will not be in the stock. When in the production stage, I assume that we have the products to add it into Amazon, and to this stage we can add the product. I'm not sure I can quite get that question, Mike. It sounds like, and if this is correct, you've placed an order for the product, so you put your money down, right? But the sample is yet to be authorized, right? It's yet to be approved. Well, technically speaking, right now, 9 out of 10 samples get approved. So you got to make the assumption, and I know what people say about assumptions, but you got to make the assumption that it's on order. So I would have the product on a PCS because I'm assuming that it's going to be placed, and it would be on this stock asset report as a 50%. Okay, so I would have that information inside there. Okay, hopefully that answered the question. If that wasn't the answer, or if that wasn't the right question to answer, just let me know. So there's a couple of different areas where we would feed this information into the area. Now, pretty simply, if you've got a product in production or at sea, then you know that information, okay? It's likely going to be in your email, whether that's with a supplier or through private label people, okay? You're going to be the custodian of that information, whether you're 500 or 300 or where you're sending it to, okay? So in terms of in production at sea, that's on you, all right? Now, if you've got stock at a third-party warehouse, then it's going to be on their platform, okay? It's going to be on their system, all right? So if you're using a third-party warehouse in a country, they will likely have to provide you with that information. So if they have a platform where you can download that information or look that information up, great, right? If they don't, you're going to have to send them an email and get your stock, okay? You're going to have to work out where that stock is. From an Amazon perspective, and I'm just going to share my screen again, but from an Amazon perspective, Seller Central has the information, okay? Seller Central has the information. So what we have is, in production at sea, you're the custodian of that information. If it's in a warehouse, it's your third-party provider is the custodian or their platform. If it's at an Amazon fulfillment center, they're the custodian and their platform is Seller Central. Okay. So if you come across, and you'll need to do this for every company where you have stock at Amazon or where you sell. If you come across into this area, right, which is the Amazon fulfillment reports, you might have it bookmarked, right? If you don't have it bookmarked, inside the hamburger, down to reports, fulfillment by Amazon, that will take you into this area where you can go to inventory. Now, when you come in here, the inventory will be there. So it'll be like that. So you'll have inventory and then show more. Okay. Click on show more, come down to manage FBA inventory. Okay. Now, other people have come in and said Amazon fulfilled inventory. Right? I much prefer the manage FBA inventory. And there is a very good reason for this, all right, which I will explain to you in a second. But if we come into manage FBA inventory, then we can request a CSV. Okay, you can request a CSV. This is what I requested just before we come on a call. All right. And there is also an area where people will think about being lazy, which is schedule. Right. I don't like to schedule this because if you schedule it, you'll forget about the schedule and you won't come back and do it. Also, the frequency of the schedule is every 3 days, every 7 days, every 14, or every 28, right? It does not say the first of a month, right? So do yourself a favor, keep it manual, put it on your Google Calendar to come and do this task. The rewards are there for you, all right? Request the CSV, doesn't take very long, and then you can download it, all right? So let me show you what that looks like. Okay. So let me just toggle my screen back again. Oops, screen. Let's share my window. Boom. There we go. So this is what manage FBA inventory looks like. All right. Now I've brought this into Google Sheets from a CSV that came down from Amazon. So we have the SKU, right? The end SKU inside Amazon, what Amazon refers to, what you put into Amazon. We've got the FN SKU as well as the ASIN, the product name, the condition of the stock, your price, right, which is inside the your price area. And then we've got a range of different fields. Now, let me just open these up and we can go through these. So, a MFN listing exists. So, merchant fulfilled network listing exists. So, is there a listing that says that you fulfill this product yourself? It's highly likely that all of these will be no, okay? Because we don't do merchant fulfilled. We do Amazon fulfilled, okay? Then the merchant fulfillable quantity. So what you put in to fulfill as a merchant, again, if it's no, that's going to be 0. An AFN listing exists. So an Amazon fulfillment network listing exists. And there we go. It's the carbon copy opposite, right? All yeses, okay? Then we have the quantities here, and I'm not going to go down through the numbers because they're just related to whatever SKU it is on the line, right? But I'm just going to go down through the titles. So the warehouse quantity, okay? How many are in the warehouse? As in an Amazon warehouse, okay? How many are fulfillable, okay? How many right now are fulfillable, okay? You would say, you might think, well, that's going to be the same as the Amazon warehouse. Well, not really, because you might have some which are unsellable, okay? You might have some damages, right? Or you might have some reserved, okay? So we can see here that on this line here, right, we have 120 units, 91 are fulfillable, which means that 29, the difference, are unfulfillable. We've got 24 that are unsellable for some reason, and we've got 5 reserved, okay? So therefore, we end up with a total, and we have a total quantity. Okay, we've got a total quantity as well. Right? Then what we have is the per unit volume, so the size of all of these are the 1 unit, the net. Then what we have is we've got inwards, so anything that you currently have sent in, right? So be careful not to double up. Right? We talked about if it's at a warehouse, it's at a warehouse. Make sure, as in a third-party warehouse, make sure not to double up here. Or because we've also got inbound, right? Shipping quantity, we get 6. So there's my total, right? So therefore, I've got total quantity here 6, but it has not reached the warehouses yet. Okay, so make sure not to double up on your quantities. Right? Inbound receiving, so it's arrived, but it's currently in the receiving process. Right? Then we've got researching. We start to see this kind of researching thing. Maybe Amazon are trying to put it somewhere. Reserved, right? So maybe they're reserving some future, or their future supply. Right? And then we've got the fulfillable quantity local. Okay, which looks very, very similar, which you'll see, to this area here, right? Because, you see that? Or sorry, the fulfillable, right? Because, interestingly, you will see this from time to time in that some of your stock in Amazon, especially in North America, if you've got stock in America, as in the United States of America, and Canada, you may see it being duplicated in one area. So go down, have a look, make sure that, don't panic too much about getting this wrong. It can always be corrected, okay? But looking down through, downloading this report and having a little look across, any questions that you've got whatsoever, just ask, right? Ask inside the group, ask inside one of these calls. There is no problem with this answer. There's no silly questions whenever it comes to this. Okay. Now, the other report that a lot of people look at is this. Now, this is the Amazon fulfilled inventory whenever you download this. It's very, very messy, is my first problem with this report. You've got sellable, non-sellable, used, old listings that you might have put in. It just becomes something that you're going to have to start filtering. Like, look at this report, right? And there's so many zeros in here. So for me, do yourself a favor, stick to manage FBA inventory. It's just a hell of a lot easier, right? And also, if there's a zero in here at all, it's not going to show, right? The only reason why this is showing right here is because we've got some inbound quantity. If that wasn't inbound, it wouldn't even show it all. So it's a nice, clean report. So guys, does that make sense? Let me know inside the comments. We now know that whenever we are talking about, where am I? Here we go. Whenever we're talking about something that is in production or at sea, the custodian of the information is you. And you should know where you're looking inside your emails or inside your documents. Right? If it is at a third-party warehouse, then it's up to their platform or them to provide you with the information. They are the custodian of that data. If it is in an Amazon fulfillment center, it is Amazon as the custodian, Seller Central as the platform, and I have just showed you where to find it. Right? If you understand those things, give me a 1 inside the chat box. Because if you're giving me a 1 inside the chat box, that means that you are completely happy with filling out a stock asset file, right? And you're going to be able to do it. There's no problem making mistakes. We're going to go and we're going to get this done next week, okay? Any hurdle that you face, ask us a question, right? Really, really simply, we'll get you the answer. So, the glory is that a lot of this now seems like work. Right? So let's look at what you get from it. Right? So Mike says, I assume the report will be the amount of stock on the day. I run on the 1st will be more accurate than the 10th. Absolutely, right? And also, it gets you a monthly run, right? If we decided to run it on the 1st of the month, 1 month, 10th of the month, the next, 21st, the next, that's not cohesive, coherent data. That's odd data, right? That's not giving us any form of timeline, okay? So getting that stock in on the 1st or 2nd each month, we're now getting a rolling tot as to what's happening, because there is so much more that we can take from this, right? So let me welcome you to a new friend, right? This is your pulse report, right? You don't need to do anything in here, okay, apart from look, okay? And when you fill out your stock asset file, this is automatic, okay? This is automatic. Now, my blue blockers are going to skew with my eyes here. They're going to make blues look like greens, and we cannot have that. All right, so I'll take those off for now. But what this does, in conjunction with your PCS, that's why PCS is so important, right? It's an engine file. Right? It brings us back all the information from the stock assets and provides us with wonderful data, okay? So we can see, right, on this line right here, okay, this unit here, which ends in BE2 on row 4, right, we can see that the landed cost of all of these units that we have everywhere in different locations, in different countries, different quantities, but that one SKU, right? The landed cost is $1,065 US and 12 cents. Like that. You have not had to go trawling through your emails, creating stock list upon stock list, going and trying to get what you paid for it. You've already put this information in, right? Let's just glean it and present it, right? We also know that when this product sells, all of the units that you've currently got, it is worth to us as a business, after we've paid Amazon for its referral fee and its FBA fee, $2,723.15. Okay. Next SKU ends in BE4. Here we go. We've got the landed cost of $25.84.48 and an RVF of 684.53. Right? Now, on this simple report, we got two beautiful grand totals. What is the landed cost of all of my units globally when they would arrive in stock? What is the landed cost of it? Okay. And what is the current RVF ownership, right, of all of those units? So whenever they sell, what is my expectation of what I'm going to get back according to what I've currently paid? Okay. Patrick, I will have a little look into that for you and make sure that everything's cool on there. I'll make sure on that. So we get these two areas, right? We've got a grand total of our landed cost. We get a grand total of our RVF. Right? But even better, we get this column here, which is the D column, right? The ratio. Now we can do a sniff test on the profitability of these products. And we have a simple key, right? Which we can see down here, the profitability, right? Or what we're going to start referring to this as OM, right? Things are changing here, right? We are going to start looking at this as OM. You can take POI, you can take POR. They are old hat, right? They are too traditional. We are throwing them out the window, my friends. And believe you me, in January, whenever you see what we're up to, you're going to love throwing them out the window. But that's for later on. OM is what we're going with, okay? Now, we've got our ratios here, which we can see our profit is excellent, right? 78 on this. Well, we actually know profit is good, okay? But we've done a little bit of a sniff test in that, made sure we've gone in, and we can see that this is a particularly high retail item, and the cash margin on it is excellent, okay? So the cash on every single unit is excellent. We're happy enough that it's not in blue. Same goes for the 61. This is a very high retail price product, and we're happy enough at these levels. And also, we have an error, right? We have an error, right? And this is in black. And it says, looks like a PCS data problem, right? And the data problem, we've already got it by doing this earlier on. There's no RVF put in, right? It's a relatively new product. There's no RVF put in. So therefore, we can go back, put it into the PCS, and this is going to add to this report, okay? So does everybody understand this simple concept here of all of our SKUs that we have globally in every single location? And the next column, all of the landed cost. What's it worth to us at the investment level, right? What is our stock worth to us at the investment level, the cost level? And then the next column, the C column, what's it worth to us at the sales value? And then what's my ratio? And a little bit of a color code, right? Give me a, I don't know, give me an M for Merry Christmas, if that makes sense, right? M for Merry Christmas, M for Mama makes sense, right? Or if you've got any questions on it, or there's anything that's not understandable or understood, let me know what that question would be. So column C is the estimated gross profit. No, column C is the RVF, the realized value figure, right? What is that product worth to you after it sells on Amazon and you pay them for referral fee and FBA fee, okay? What are you getting back from each sale, right? So if we think about landed cost, that's what I invested, right? That's what I invested in the product. This is what I'm getting back, okay? So if I was looking at gross profit, it would be the difference, okay? This is RVF, a much more adaptable and a much more rounded way of looking at things, okay? So we have a differential between what I invested in my products to date currently as it stands, and to date when the sales happen, what am I getting back, right? We're starting to look at the liquidity of the business. That's where we're all moving towards. Plus, when we have this, we're able to see. We are able to see. You're able to see. We're able to see. We're able to help, right? You produce these reports, we're going to be looking at them on your behalf. And we're going to be reaching out to you and speaking to you. If we see something like 61%, we're going to reach out to you. We're going to say, hey, have you looked at this? Is this a high cash margin product? Or is this a good seller? Or is this, that, and the other, right? Or what do we need to do? Have we price tested this? At 61, an OM would not be bad, right? But we're going to be testing. We're going to be making sure, right? We have a vested interest in you doing this, right? We've a vested interest in your success. So why would we not be doing these things, right? But we cannot do this, right? Because you're the custodian of this data. This is the only thing that you've got to commit to. When you do that, you not only get Pulse report automatic, you're going to give us eyes on the data to help you, okay? So give me a C inside into the comments if you can commit to doing the stock asset file once a month. It'll take you 30 minutes max, right? And we will then, if you make that commitment, we'll make the other side of the commitment, okay? If you can't do this, if you cannot commit to doing the stock asset file, the Pulse report it's not going to mean anything. It's going to be full of zeros, right? And then we don't have any eyes, we can't help, right? But if you do it, That opens up absolutely everything, guys. Okay? And I know, unfortunately, there are some people that are not going to do this. Please don't you be one, right? You make that commitment to do this stock asset file. If you've got any questions whatsoever about the stock asset file, right? I don't care if the question is, Robert, what does USD stand for? Honestly, I don't care, right? We will answer those questions because this is vitally important for you. And if it's vitally important for you, then it's vitally important for us, right? It's just that simple. So I'm not going to bang on about it anymore. You guys are committed to it. You guys are going to do it. We're going to help you out to do it. Then you're going to get the beautifulness of the pulse. Okay? Now, a couple of other things inside pulse. Once we get all of this, right, you'll see these two totals here, so 41 and 82. You're also going to get a timeline, right? Because we have told the report about the date, right? Remember, we put in here the date, right? Well, what we'd like to see is, we'd like to see over a period of time, our stock levels building, right? Because now, if you don't order something in the next month, then it's going to go down because you're going to have sold. That's okay. But then when you order, it's going to go back up. So it's a little bit like a fluctuating trend line, but trend line going up. And we're going to be able to see this as the business grows, right? So the more data we have, the more we're going to be able to see all of this information, okay? I've also just noticed there that this says November 2022. It's actually 2023. So make sure and get your year right. So that will then build up. The more and more months you do, you're going to get more and more stars and more rewards. Okay, so that is just a timeline of this, right? It's not broken down by skew simply because that will be a three-dimensional graph. Okay, so we have 2 dimensions here. Now, if you want to see it in a little bit more detail, then we've got the details here as well. If you want to see it by skew, by country, by location, we've split that out, okay, at landed cost, okay? So the stock assets in all the different locations, primary currency, so whatever your primary currency is, this is in USD here, your primary currency may be GBP, maybe Euro, whatever else, going to go primary currency. Or if you want to see it at RVF, you're going to be able to get to see that as well, okay? And this is a snapshot in time, okay? Because obviously, if we're looking at a timeline, it's a three-dimensional graph again, okay? We can also get exactly the same information in terms of native currency. So therefore, native to Canada is Canadian dollars. Native to United Kingdom is GBP. Okay, so that's the native. Whenever we say native, we mean native to that country. Native to Germany is the euro. Okay, so that's landed cost again, and then native currency at RVF. Okay, so you can dig around. There's nothing. This might be a little bit overwhelming, but go in, dig into it, have a little look around, because what it's going to start to feed into, guys, is this is not where we end the prize here, right? You can see what's happening, right? If we've got pulse, right, and we have the details of the stock, where it is, for what country, and we take Opus, right? Anybody know the nickname of Opus? Anybody know the nickname of Opus? Let me know inside the chat box. Everybody's gone through all reporting, so people should know the nickname of Opus. Let me see if anybody's got it. I'm going to have done a competition today on this. See who's been listening. Or maybe you asked Oscar about what the nickname of Opus was. There's not too many people coming back with this. This is interesting. I'm going to have to do like a pub quiz on all reporting. So the nickname of Opus is the symphony, right? Because it's where all of that music meets and all of that crescendos, right? It is the symphony. Well, pulse is actually the rhythm, okay? And there's a reason for this. We take pulse, we take Opus, we put them together, it's going to show us even more, right? That's where we're going to move into in the next stage. I said we're going to take these things in stages as we go along so that everybody gets ready. You concentrate on the stock assets report next week, whenever we get into January. New year, new you, all that nonsense, right? Pulse will then be here, and then as we move on, we'll be looking at vitals, right? We'll be looking at vitals as the next stage of this. But this is these two reports coming together, right? You're going to see dramatic things as we go in there. So, guys, that's it for Pulse today. That's it for stock assets reports. Just one little thing that I would. Joanne says, "Guess I still have some holiday brain fog." That's all. That's all good, Joanne. I think we all have a little bit of holiday brain fog. But one thing I would like to ask every single person to do, right, is I'd like you to go into Circle, and I'd like to get you to make sure that you've got cards put into your billing area. Right. We've had a couple of things where people have not had cards in their billing area, and they've got to the end of trials, and it's caused them a little bit of login problems, and it's caused us then getting people back into the area. So if I could just ask you, I'm going to share my screen here on a different window, just to make sure that you have it in. Last thing, you can do this before you do your stock assets. Stock assets next week. This can be this week before the year ends. If you're inside Circle, which you're inside now because you're watching me, which is great. If you can scroll up to this top area where you either have your initials or your picture, right, your avatar. If you click on it and you come down to billing, okay, come down into billing, and what you should see inside here is you should see an area which says payment methods. Okay, payment methods. And you will likely see this no card on file. That's because we didn't ask for it. Okay, that's because we didn't ask for it. So go in, add a payment method, and just put in details and currency, etc. Click save. Okay, click save. And put that in. If you get that done as soon as you can, that'll save any hassle or anybody reaching out of this side or the other. The other thing that we're going to look at is inside subscriptions. There's 3 dots here, right? You can change a billing cycle, all right? So you can go on, as we said, this $99 a month. There is a saving for quarterly. There's an even bigger saving for yearly. And this is something that we're going to discuss in January. Right, so there is a massive game changer in January. I am sure that you've seen emails about it, which I'll come to in a second. But if you could go in and just add a card on file, that would be much appreciated. And believe you me, whenever it gets to that stage, you'll appreciate it as well, so you don't get kicked out and all this different stuff. So Joanne says, from your experience, what's the longest the product has been held in customs? Depends on the product. Depends on customs. It's very hard to give a one-size-fits-all answer there. What I would do is I would reach out to whoever you're shipping it with and make sure that they've got all the information and reach out and get an update from them, because they're the ones that are best placed to answer that. Realistically speaking, a month is crazy. Like, a month is very long. That's a long period of time. It should not be being held by customs for a month. Something's incorrect there, right? And they likely need more information. So, January game changer. Everybody has received a few emails. Maybe a few too many. I hear you say. Just let me know that you've been getting some emails about, like, clicking in. We said, like, the register. Just give me an E inside the chat. If you got emails, you've clicked in, you've clicked that you're going, you've added it to your calendar. We sent out a number of emails. It was just to make sure that every single person got it, because it's so big. It literally is so big, guys. So do make sure that you are getting to that call if you can. If you can't not get to that call, make sure to watch the replay as soon as you possibly can. This is really, I know we are building this up in quite a big way, but this is going to change everything, like, or at least so many different things. We're very excited. We're very excited by this, as you can tell. Hence why you've been getting email after email. You're going to get another email today. You're going to get another email tomorrow. It's likely you're going to get an email on, what day is this? Oh, you lose track of dates over Christmas. You're going to get another email on Saturday, right? But that's the last. That's the last we're going to send. Then there might be a few posts about it, right? So do excuse us if you have already got the email. You've already clicked the button. But unfortunately, you're still going to get more emails about it. And the only thing is, it's so that everybody gets this email, right? Also, if you know of other people, right, there's no problem inviting them, right? Because this is that much of a game changer. It's absolutely crazy, right? It's absolutely crazy. And when you see this on 14th of January, I think it is, you're going to understand why we're excited, right? And you're going to understand why we would say that if you know any other people who are involved in private label, that if you were on that side of the equation, you would want them to tell you. Right? You would want them to tell you. That's why we're talking about it. So I have been sworn to secrecy. It's a game changer. Take it from me that it is a game changer. In the meantime, number one, I'll leave you with a 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Number one, make sure you can put those card details in for me. I would really appreciate it, and you'll appreciate it whenever that time comes. Number two, next week, right, stock asset file, right, and make sure and check into your pulse after you've done the stock asset file. If you do have any questions whatsoever on the stock asset file, let us know. We'll get those answered for you. Okay. So make sure to do that next week. Right? And number three, get to the game changer call. Right? I would say it over and over and over again. It's all great, guys. I hope you had a great Christmas with friends and family. I hope you had some decent battery charging downtime. I know I did. It was absolutely great. It's been fantastic this week to not have as many things on, but you know, things don't stand still. It's very hard for me to stand still. It's great to be back with you guys today, talking about reports, figures, numbers, all that different stuff that I love. And actually, Gabriel just reminded me there is a number 4. There is a number 4. If you are located in the UK or Western Europe, reach out to us because we do have our in-person coming on 12th and 13th of January. I know that we are extremely limited on spaces for that, so make sure and reach out to us. That is number 4. And finally, guys, towards the end of this weekend, have a wonderful Old Year's night and have a fantastic New Year's day, guys. I hope whatever you're doing, if you're partying, chilling with friends, families, loved ones, that you have a wonderful evening and a great day. And we will speak to you all next week. Looking forward to hitting 2024 with an absolute bang and seeing us progress throughout the year together. So speak soon, guys. All the very best. See you later.